Um, everyone read the minutes? Could I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Minutes? Was that a motion? I want to approve the minutes. Okay, second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion. New discussion. Is anyone here for Jack and Ann Haley?
I see Jack.
What?
Jack's here, yeah,
Oh, he is?
yep.
Oh, okay.
I think he's muted, yeah.
I'm off
There.
mute.
Oh, okay.
We're here from London.
Wow. So this application was tabled for site review and harbor master.
Yep.
And we got the harbor master
Mhm.
letter. And we did the site review and all the setbacks were met. So, they have all their permits, so I make a motion that, application LU 34-23 is complete. Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I can do it. I'm making a motion that a public hearing is not required for application 34-23.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve application 34-23 to build a pier, gangway, float and stairs at map 26 lot 8.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Yeah, you got it done.
You'll have.
Thank you very much.
I guess it gets sent to them or?
Yep, we usually mail them. Do we have your mailing address on the application?
Yes,
Okay.
and it should be CC to Gartley and Dorsey. They're coordinating it all for us.
Okay.
All right, no new development review, so go to land use application LU 38-23. Henry Warren and Julie Butler to build a 30-by-32 addition to existing 1-bedroom structure with a wood frame over concrete foundation and basement. Additional tie into existing well and septic. And does anyone see anything missing from this application? Have a septic plan for 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, I've already gone over the septic design, what they've already have, and it's sufficient to add the extra bedroom.
Do we need a site review?
Under the plot plan, all the setbacks were already met with the existing structure, and they're not really enlarging the footprint a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
All the setbacks that I can see they've got drawn out here
Or
are
well,
good.
well within.
Yeah,
So what about, the removal of trees, the cutting of trees?
they're only gonna take enough to whatever they have to
Oh,
do.
it's right around the house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So does anyone feel a site review is necessary for this one?
We did one once, right?
Yeah, when the original house was built, I'm sure somebody did that before my time, but.
But this is just for the septic.
No, they're putting an addition on the house.
And usually we don't do one if it's an addition unless it's close to the shore.
Yeah, now they're like 200 feet, 250 feet away from high tide, so,
And not close to any of the,
no,
boundaries, so.
60 feet from one side and 40 from the other.
So does that need a motion?
Mm-hmm.
I move no site review is required for application LU 38-23.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion that is complete?
Yeah. I move that the application for 38-23 is complete.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. I move that
No public hearing.
public hearing is not necessary for application LU 38-23.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that the board approve application LU 38-23.
Second.
Discussion?
You wanna mention the escrow
Oh, yes.
on the, as a contingency?
I move the board approve the application contingent on money being paid into the escrow account if necessary.
Who we got up there? Julie and Henry, can you hear me?
I guess
You
not.
might want to speak in this direction towards the owl.
Henry or Julie, can you?
Henry Warren here, I can hear you.
Okay, do you understand what we're talking about as far, did I explain that to you guys about the escrow account?
Yes, you did, if in case there's any damage
It's
from
about
large
the road in
trucks.
the spring, correct?
Right, from December 15th through April 15th, if any work gets done, you'll have to put an escrow deposit down for the access through Bluff Road.
Correct, and our understanding, we believe that the basement will be getting excavated this fall, so I don't believe we'll run into that, but if we do, we will certainly put the money into escrow.
Very good, very good.
Now, how much would it be? Just,
5,000.
okay, no problem. Thank you.
Did I get a second on this?
Second.
You did now.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I guess you'll get your permit in the mail.
Yes, I will type that up tomorrow and put it in the mail. And you have, did you put your mailing address on the application?
Two addresses.
Forgive me.
Yes, I'm in Virginia and Hank's in Virginia, I'm in Connecticut. Both addresses should be on the application.
Okay,
Is it utility anyway? We're done.
we'll get that out to you as soon as it gets signed by the chair.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
But in this case, it's,
Thank you.
Isabel, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I get to sign?
yeah, you can sign this one.
Just priming you for the next step.
So you're all set then?
So no development review, CEO report? You want-
I'll get you next time.
Oh, okay.
I got a little busy. I can-
Anyone wishing to address the board?
Yeah. I guess what I want to say is that you earlier approved the permit for a dock in the most sensitive environmental area on the island. Second one is maybe up at the Parker Cove, I guess it is the next one up. And maybe the other places of concern are the Narrows and just a few other places. But if you look at the resource protection map, it clearly is labeled as a sensitive area. And what that means is that there are wild fowl,
Waiting.
all those things.
Very good
You
point.
know,
very-
and much more than the herons that were mentioned
Yeah,
here the
it-
other
it's
night.
good, oh,
And
no,
there are standards for a resource protection zone, which is part of the shoreline zone. I didn't hear that anybody addressed those. Maybe they did, but I think I've been at the 2 meetings and counting this one that were part of that. So I'm just astounded
which,
by what you did with a lack of review.
which pier are you referring to?
I'm talking about the now Haley's.
That
McNeil's.
was reviewed by DEP. DEP made them move it out of the
More than once.
T. Tidal
I heard that.
Ladybird.
I heard that.
They moved it, so
heard
it
that.
met all criteria by DEP. We do not have jurisdiction over that aspect.
You do not have jurisdiction over the pier. If the pier is below mean high water,
Correct.
right? That's true. What you do have jurisdiction over is access to it, how somebody's gonna use it, the dimensions of the pier and all of that. Basically, the review that you get, and it came from Earl also, is that as long as it doesn't interfere with marine traffic, is cool. And I think that at the very least, somebody should read the 22-page conservation restriction that the McNeil Family Trust put on that land. And I think if you do read that, you will find that that trust it says very specifically, there'll be no docks or piers. It says very specifically, there will be no new structures built on the however many acres there are there,
They
and a
did,
lot of other things.
they worked with IIT and amended that.
I understand that, and I understand the fact that IIT has already given them approval to change the conservation easement to put in a pier. But I'm not sure that that was a thorough review. Let me put it that
That's
way.
between IIT and
I'm sorry,
that's between IIT and
yes, it is, and it's not your job to approve that process. But the conservation restriction that the family put on that lot was meant to preserve it in perpetuity, the McNeil Family Trust words, forever and ever. And it also was meant to have no new structures built on that property. And yes, you're not supposed to decide whether or not IIT made a change in the trust appropriately, whether there was any finding that it was gonna be okay. But what I do think you have an obligation to do is to listen to all of the reasons why the family trust document 5 or 6 pages of it, says that lists all the reasons why the property is so sensitive, okay? From federal permits, the state permits, to the comprehensive plan of Islesboro, to the resource protection districts, to the sensitive district. There's a whole lot of things that people should have paid attention to.
Are you talking about the conservation easement they have with IIT?
Yes, Yeah.
The original easement allowed for a floating dock,
yeah,
one that would sit on
right,
the beach at low tide. And,
DEP,
was it the DEP? It says in here somewhere.
all said that, us, one with the
Said-
piers was better.
Yeah, causes. much
I don't
less
believe that the
effect.
floating dock, so-called, was listed as a structure on the property in the easement that IIT and the McNeils signed.
No, they had a permission if they were to put in a dock, they could only put in a floating dock. And they changed that.
Maybe you're right, I remember it differently, and I've read it several times.
I have spoken to Steve about it.
Okay. Ought to read the document. And that's really what I'm saying, is that for a committee that is supposed to be current and be up to date and read the rules and read the regulations and read also, I think I would argue that you ought to do is to follow the expectations of the town in terms of preserving properties and places and whatnot that are important to all of us. I think that all of that documentation deserves your attention and frankly, your respect. And if you didn't do that, I think you're amiss. And the other thing I'm concerned about is that the whole process of getting a pier permitted, it's kind of, if somebody says, all right, Earl says it's okay, it's not gonna interfere with marine traffic, and the DEP says it's okay, that's because they say there's not gonna be any observable problems with the water quality from their point of view.
Well, they also they knew it was in resource protection, and that's why it was moved 2 or 3 times.
Right, I understand that. Okay. Did they look at the access to it, steps, piers and so forth, how it was gonna be built? It's like the pier down at Mount Bounty Cove. There was just gonna be a footpath down to the shore, and now there's a whole new road and access and all sorts of stuff has happened down there that was not part of the application, but it should have been. You should have known better what
Well,
was gonna happen.
there
That's all I wanna say.
There was an agreement that they, maybe you can explain it better, Dave,
Yeah.
in terms of shoreline stabilization.
Yeah, they're gonna stabilize 300 feet of the shoreline. There, so they had to have a little bit of access going down into it to that point.
So they're gonna put riprap or something on the edge of the shore? And do you have a engineer's description of that process, and has that been approved by DEP?
Yes, yeah, that's all been permitted by DEP and Corps of Engineers and.
Okay, I didn't see that in the application, but, my point stands, I guess, but I'll leave it at that.
Great, thank you, Terry. Any correspondence? Bill, you got any correspondence?
not.
Committee reports? We're meeting tomorrow.
No, a week from, it's the 19th or 18th.
Thank you. We'll just come back tomorrow.
Not tomorrow,
Not tomorrow, it's the
next week, I believe.
next Friday.
Okay. Yeah, the 19th.
19th, where we'll be talking about with the groundwater committee.
Any other additional business? Do you have any additional business, Doug?
Just saying sorry for not getting here.
That's okay, I forgive you. I move, we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
I guess I made it just in time, huh? Well, that's debatable. Yeah.
Did you forget? Was
Thanks,
three.
Lori.
Yeah.